Timeson says, just because I heal it does not mean I'm gay. Ehug 416 says, I'm gay and I don't even heal. I keep it on me says, Tradesman Bob Zero says, heal what? Your sausage rod? Timeson says, not Yonik says, but are you? Not mean I'm gay. Not Yonik says, no judgy. Tradesman Bob Zero says, revitalize that endurance. I keep it on me says, Tradesman Bob Zero says, heal what? Who says, X Cave October 20th. Not Yonik says, but are you? Not Yonik says, no judgy. Tradesman Bob Zero says, revitalize that endurance. Tradesman Bob Zero says, heal what? Who says, X Cave October 20th. Not Yonik says, but are you? Not Yonik says, no judgy. Tradesman Bob Zero says, revitalize that endurance. Loop says, what 3 damage perks should I run on musket? Centauri says, X bleep hyphen the J Giles band. Nus Vengeance says, 07 should I run on musket? Tradesman Bob Zero says, her second cousin, her friend's lover, and an did. Centauri says, FFS bleep. God Angst says, thanks for impant trib. Nus Vengeance says, LQTM. Tradesman Bob Zero says, most US states allow anything farther than first cousins. Her second cousin. Strap you says, exemplary ring, WTS. FFS bleep. Centauri says, centerfold. Thanks for impant trib. Nus Vengeance says, lol. Nus Vengeance says, LQTM. Harmony Boar says, Ty God Angst. Tradesman Bob Zero says, most Loop says, thanks for making this community better. Rigi says, exemplary amulet, exemplary ring, exemplary amulet, WTS. Centauri says, thanks for impant trib. Mr. Haldany says, Jewelry Matrix, X10 WTS. Ty God Angst. Nus Vengeance says, X Piranha hyphen lights. Making this community better. Tradesman Bob Zero says, Arigato gozaimasu. Exemplary ring, exemplary amulet, WTS. Centauri says, Mr. Haldany says, Jewelry Matrix, X10 WTS. Nus Vengeance says, X Piranha hyphen lights. Tradesman Bob Zero says, Arigato gozaimasu. Panka Troon says, X Cave. Rigi says, X. Rigi says, X. Timeson says, X. Tradesman Bob Zero says, wow, there's some interesting usernames here. Rigi says, X. Rigi says, X. Fortunate One says, indeed. Timeson says, X. Lucky Lion says, X Cave. Zero says, wow, there's some interesting. Centauri says, so silly blocking centerfold with a C. X Casimera says. Rigi says, X. Rigi says, Fortunate One says, indeed. Timeson says, X. Lucky Lion says, X Cave. Wow, there's some interesting. Centauri says, so silly blocking centerfold with a C. X Casimera says. La Mojo Jojo says, X Cave. Lucky Lion says, exclave. Centauri says, so silly blocking centerfold with the sea. Ex Casimero says. La Mojo Jojo says, X cave.
I see you managed it after all. A fine crosspiece. Almost as fine as Portsmouth.
Lucky Lion says, X cave.
I fear there is little time to prepare you for what approaches. While you were away, I met a traveler who spoke of corrupted coming down from the north. I suspect they are driven on by the same vice that plagues your mind. Crosspiece. Almost as fine as Portsmouth.
Lucky Lion says, X cave.
If this is the same being that haunts you, I fear your soul may be in great peril. But this is a momentous occasion. You are ready to forge your Azoth staff, and the Soul Wardens will soon be placed the pieces of the staff on the ancient altar near the shattered obelisk. Then brace yourself. I will be with you in spirit. I fear your soul may be in great peril, but this is a momentous occasion. You are ready to forge your Azoth staff, and the Soul Wardens will soon be placed the pieces of the staff on the ancient altar near the shattered obelisk. Then brace yourself. I will be with you in spirit.
Tradesman Bob Zero says, like one named Cactus. X Sevenfold X says, and late night WT. Tradesman Bob Zero says, like one named Cactus. X Sevenfold X says, and late night WT. Tradesman Bob Zero says, like one named Cactus. X Sevenfold X says, and late night WT. Strap you says, where you at? Strap you says, upper. Strap you says, ups wrong channel. Behug 416 says, WTB male plus play crits axe. Strap you says, where you at? Strap you says, upper. Strap you says, ups wrong channel. Tradesman Bob Zero says, falling down a well, back first would very likely cause a concussion. Tradesman Bob Zero says, falling down a well, back first would very likely cause a concussion. Centauri says, ex abracadabra hyphen Steve Miller Band. Tradesman Bob Zero says, falling down a well, back first would very likely cause a concussion.
Wood and metal can be broken, but
Timeson says, Opers RF wicking crazy RNWTF lol. Centauri says, ex
I step
abracadabra hyphen
closer
Steve
to
Miller
my
Band.
victory. Wood and metal can be broken.
Timeson says, Opers RF wicking crazy RNWTF lol. Centauri says, ex
I step
abracadabra hyphen
closer
Steve
to
Miller
my
Band.
victory.
Siwangaprak says, X cave. Siwangaprak says, X cave. Bandlover 123 says, Spectral Mount Box, WTS.
Welcome back. And look,
Warrior Mad says, Warrior Mad has reached level 37. Warrior Mad says, Warrior Mad has reached level 37. Says, Spectral Mount Box, WTS.
while we now possess an Izoth staff, it is but a beginning, and even armed with such an implement, we too are no bulwark against
Warrior
corruption.
Mad says, Warrior Mad has reached level 37. Warrior
Rally
Mad
their
says,
men and
Warrior
women
Mad
at
has
arms
reached
to
level
meet the armies
37.
coming their way.
Spectral Mount
You
Box,
hold their
WTS.
only hope for salvation. While we now possess an Izoth staff, it is but a beginning, and even armed with such an implement,
On Ice says, Arboreal Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Electrified Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Abyssal Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Abyssal Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Empowered Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Electrified Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Electrified Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Electrified Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Arboreal Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Electrified Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Ignited Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Empowered Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Arboreal Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Abyssal Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Electrified Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe, Empowered Replica Aurical cum Brutish Great Axe. On Ice says, someone buy these butt axes. On Ice says, please. 6 Molio says, X-Glog. Zoria Ugo Xavier says, Sglog. 6 Molio says, X-Cave. Timeson says, OPR popped. On Ice says, Strapu says, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, WTS. Molio says, X-Glog. Zoria Ugo Xavier says, Sglog. Oracle NG says, without ME. 6 Molio says, X-Cave. Wizard King created the lobby. Timeson says, OPR pop. Wizard King joined the lobby. Strapu says, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, WTS. Oracle NG says, without any. Warrior Mad joined the lobby. Wizard King created the lobby. Thompson says, OPR pop. Wizard King joined the lobby. Strapu says, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, WTS. Oracle NG says, without any. Warrior Mad joined the lobby. Wizard King created the lobby. Wizard King joined the lobby. Strapu says, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, WTS. Warrior Mad joined the lobby. Wizard King created the lobby. Wizard King joined the lobby. Cantona AA Junior joined the lobby. Vocable says, X Holden. Cantona AA Junior joined the lobby. Loading. Please wait. Vocable says, X Holden. Cantona AA Junior joined the lobby. Loading. Please wait. Jack Daniel says, LT's less fun in Oper if someone uses healing, it feels like there's no damage output. Healing Groon says, true that. Centauri says, X somebody's watching me Rockwell 50k to anyone in 30s who else is singing in this song. Loading. Weslow 45 says, Zipfergor, we need 5. Fun in Oper if someone uses healing. Warrior Mag needs to be revived. No damage output. Says, true that. Centauri says, X somebody's watching me Rockwell 50k to anyone in 30s who else is singing in this song. Evanora Eniali says, X Gore, we need 5. Warrior Mag needs to be revived. Tradesman Bob Zero says, it's more fun when you don't PvP. Strumchasser says, X Gore. Eniali says, X Gore. 6 Molio says, X Cave. Centauri says, Michael Jackson. Blind Guy says, X Gorg DPS. Strumchasser says, X Gorg. 6 Molio says, X Cave. Centauri says, Michael Jackson. Blind Guy says, X Gorg DPS. Cantona AA Junior says, can you hear me? Rogan says, LFX Kata February 3rd. Kinky Daddy says, X Kata. Strumchasser says, X Gorg DPS bleed. Blind Guy says, X Gorg DPS. Cantona AA Junior says, can you hear me? Rogan says, LFX Kata February 3rd. Kinky Daddy says, X Kata. Strumchasser says, X Gorg DPS bleed. Blind Guy says, X Gorg DPS. AA Junior says, can you hear me? Rogan says, LFX Kata February 3rd. Kinky Daddy says, X Kata. Strumchasser says, S3L says, X Cave. Confirm respawn. This will put this respawn position in cooldown. Continue. Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. S3L says, X Cave. Confirm respawn. This will put this respawn position in cooldown. Draco Mortella says, X Gorg heal for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. S3L says, X Cave. Scurry 30 says, X DPS score. Respawn position and cooldown. Draco Mortella says, X score heal. Press square for yes. Loading. Scurry 30 says, X DPS score. Cornell says, Scurry 30 says, X DPS score. Cornell says, Kinky Daddy says, might be on later, I'ma give y'all a break. Jack Daniel says, Link they're afraid of dying, huh? Weslow 45 says, full. Kinky Daddy says, 3U. Kinky Daddy says, might be on later, I'ma give y'all a break. Jack Daniel says, Link they're afraid of dying, huh? Weslow 45 says, full. Kinky Daddy says, 3U. Kinky Daddy says, might be on later, I'ma give y'all a break. Jack Daniel says, Link they're afraid of dying, huh? Weslow 45 says, Kinky Daddy says, Band Lover 123 says, Spectral Mount Box, WTS. Jack Daniel says, X Glob. Tahi says, Empowered Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, WTS. Schultz Riff says, X Gorb DPS. Special Mount Box, WTS. Jack Daniel says, X Blog. Charlie says, Empowered Replica Orichalcum Brutish Wushu Sen says, Empowered Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Empowered Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Arboreal Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Frozen Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Abyssal Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, WTS. Wushu San says, Empowered Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Empowered Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Arboreal Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Frozen Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, Abyssal Replica Orichalcum Brutish Fire Staff, WTS. Strafu says, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, WTS. Kratus Gal 445 says, Strafu says, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Ring, WTS. Risky Abrin says. Warrior Mag needs to be revived. Risky Abrin says. Warrior Mag needs to be revived. Centauri says, X Venus XXXXX80s female band 45 seconds name the band that is singing this song 75K. Exaliox says, I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, I'm your desire. Name the band that is singing this song 75K. Exaliox says, I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, I'm your desire. Centauri says, Bananarama. Exaliox says, Shocking Blue. Centauri says, Bananarama. Risky Abrin says, Exaliox says, Shocking Blue. Timeson says, GGS. Risky Abrin says, Exaliox says, Shocking Blue. X Dust says, X. Timeson says, GGS. X Vincent X says, X Leo. Exaliox says, I'm guessing that's a negative on the 75K. X Vincent X says, X Leo. Centauri says, name the band. Exaliox says, Shocking Blue. On the 75K. Exaliox says, already said that. Centauri says, no. Exaliox says, yes it is. Centauri says, name the band. Exaliox says, Shocking Blue. Exaliox says, Nus Vengeance says, X into the sun Robin. Centauri says, no. Exaliox says, yes it is. Nus Vengeance says, X into the sun Robin. Centauri says, 80s female band Bananarama. says, 80s female band Aeternum. Camparius Legr says, the Go-Go's. Camparius Legr says, the Go-Go's. Disruptor says, X. I love PvE says, X. Over there says, X. Chandra says, Y. Disruptor says, X. I love PvE says, X. Over there says, X. Chandra says, Y. Boo says, XK13/20. Boo says, XK13/20. Ingvlid2 says, Xcave 13/20. Llama 2 says, Xcave. Rang 3 says, need 1 DPS for M1 Empyrean. Ingvlid2 says, Xcave. Llama 2 says, Xcave. Rang 3 says, need 1 DPS for M1 Empyrean. Ingler 2 says, XK. Pandan says, im taken. Pandan says, im taken. Who says, XK 15/20. Strap U says, exemplary ring, exemplary ring, exemplary ring, WTS. Who says, XK 15/20. Strap U says, exemplary ring, exemplary ring, exemplary ring, WTS. Centauri says, ex-Ghostbusters-Ray Parker Jr. Strap U says, exemplary ring, exemplary ring, exemplary ring, WTS. Centauri says, ex-Ghostbusters-Ray Parker Jr. Centauri says, ex-Ghostbusters-Ray Parker Jr. Rain and Sea says, any fun run? Rain and Sea says, any fun run? Fireball says, X-Glove. Rain and Sea says, any fun run? Fireball says, X-Glove. Loading. Please wait. Fireball says, X cave. Fireball says, X glove. Loading. Please wait. Fireball says, X cave. Fireball says, X loading. Please wait. Fireball says, X cave. Cantona AA Jr. says, let me know if you need help with anything else. Cantona AA Jr. says, NP. AA Jr. says, let me know if you need help with anything else. Cantona AA Jr. says, hope you enjoy the game. Cantona AA Jr. says, NP. AA Jr. says, let me know if you need help with anything else. Cantona AA Jr. says, hope you enjoy the game. Cantona AA Jr. says, NP. AA Jr. says, let me know if you need help with any. Cantona AA Jr. says, hope you enjoy the game. Cantona AA Jr. says, whatever is left of it. Cantona AA Jr. says, I have almost 10k hours here. Cantona AA Jr. says, whatever is left of it. Cantona AA Jr. says, it was my second home. Cantona AA Jr. says, I have almost 10k hours here. Cantona AA Jr. says, whatever is left of it. Cantona AA Jr. says, it was my second home. Cantona AA Jr. says, I have almost 10k hours here. Cantona AA Jr. says, it was my second home. Cantona AA Jr. says, I have almost 10k hours here. Cantona AA Jr. says, it was my second home. Cantona AA Jr. says, yep, I only log in to help new players experience the game. Cantona AA Jr. says, that's why I joined your lobby. Cantona AA Jr. says, yep, I only log in to help new players experience the game. Cantona AA Jr. says, that's why I joined your lobby. Cantona AA Jr. says, yep, I only log in to help new players experience the game. Cantona AA Jr. says, that's why I joined your lobby. Cantona AA Jr. says, yep, I only log in to help new players experience the game. Cantona AA Jr. says, let me know if you need help with anything else. Cantona AA Jr. says, let me know if Cantona you need help with AA Jr. anything says, I can help with expeditions. Cantona AA Jr. says, I can craft, I think, everything, just need mats. Cantona AA Jr. says, I can help with expeditions. Cantona AA Jr. says, I can craft, I think, everything, just need mats. Cantona AA Jr. says, I can help with expeditions. Cantona AA Jr. says, I need to go run some mood expeditions. Warrior Mad says, that was great to help us. Let you know we are deaf. Lol. Cantona AA Jr. says, I need to go run some mood expeditions. Warrior Mad says, that was great to help us. Let you know we are deaf. Lol. Cantona AA Jr. says, I need to go run some mood expeditions. Warrior Mad says, that was great to help us. Let you know we are deaf. Lol. Cantona AA Jr. says, I need to go run some mood expeditions. Warrior Mad says, that was great to help us. Let you know we are deaf. Lol. Loading. Please wait. Loading. Please wait. Loading. Please wait. Crashbot says, Crashbot waves.
Haha, drag sod!
Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square
Well
for
then,
yes.
another care to bolster that reputation
Loading.
of yours some more?
Please wait.
I also have equipment available, should you find the need.
Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square
Well
for
then,
yes.
another care to bolster that reputation of
Loading.
yours some more?
Please wait.
I also have equipment available, should you find the need. Well then, another care to bolster that reputation of yours some more? I also have equipment available, should you find the need. Well then, another fox care to bolster that reputation of yours some more? I also have equipment available, should you find the need. Well then, another fox
Fast
care to
travel.
bolster that reputation
Would
of
you
yours
like to
some more?
fast travel to this
I also have
location?
equipment available,
Press
should you
circle
find
for
the
no,
need.
press square for yes. Loading. Please wait.
Well then, another fox
Fast
care to bolster
travel.
that reputation
Would
of
you
yours
like to
some more?
fast travel to this location?
Equipment available,
Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Cancel trade. Are you sure you want to cancel your trade with Warrior Mad? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Cancel trade. Are you sure you want to cancel your trade with Warrior Mad? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Cancel trade. Are you sure you want to cancel your trade with Warrior Mad? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Warrior Mad needs to be revived. Warrior Mad needs to be revived. Warrior Mad needs to be revived. Wild stamp bonus. You have earned a free stamp. You may have up to 3 wild stamps at any time. Press circle to close. Wild stamp bonus. You have earned a free stamp. You may have up to 3 wild stamps at any time. Press circle to close. Wild stamp bonus. You have earned a free stamp. You may have up to 3 wild stamps at any time. Press circle to close. Wild stamp bonus. You have earned a free stamp. You may have up to 3 wild stamps at any time. Press circle to close. Warrior Mad says, Warrior Mad dances. 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 dances. Holden to Dix says, need 2 more evade/DPS for fresh Gorg. Suspect Live says, August 10th Gorgly need Gorgly gamers who Gorgly. Never Adept says, QCTF August 10th. Suspect Live says, September 10th Gorgly. Holden to Dix says, need 2 more evade/DPS for fresh Gorg. Suspect Live says, August 10th Gorgly need Gorgly gamers who Gorgly. Lunatera Lulu says, Haas flail on the TP. DM me. Suspect Live says, Lunatera Lulu says, alt/Vort. Holden to Dix says, need 2 more evade/DPS for fresh Gorg. Suspect Live says, August 10th Gorgly need Gorgly gamers who Gorgly. Kyofu says, insane roll. Lunatera Lulu says, Haas flail on the TP. Lunatera Lulu says, now it's acutely anointed. Alt/Vort. Lunatera Lulu says, close though. 25 says, X-Gorg. Kyofu says, insane roll. Lunatera Lulu says, now it's acutely anointed. Alt/Vort. Lunatera Lulu says, close though. 25 says, X-Gorg. Captain Ditko says, X-Gorgussi. Maddie Batty says, X-Gorg evade. 25 says, X-Gorg. Captain Ditko says, X-Gorgussi. Maddie Batty says, X-Gorg evade. Bind item. 25 bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Captain Ditko says, X-Gorgussi. Maddie Batty says, X-Gorg evade. Bind item. 25 bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Captain Ditko says, Prismatic Scarab, Precision Armoring Tools, Journal of Aeternum Flora, Loaded Dice, Precision Engineering Tools, any of this worth anything anymore? Captain Ditko says, Prismatic Scarab, Precision Armoring Tools, Journal of Aeternum Flora, Loaded Dice, Precision Captain Ditko tools. Says, where's Grams? Anything anymore? Captain Ditko says, Prismatic Scarab, Precision Armoring Tools, Journal of Aeternum Flora, Loaded Dice, Captain Ditko says, where's Grams? Heelange U says, X-Gorg. Centauri says, X-interloper-carbon-based life forms. Captain Ditko says, what the bleep are these companies? Captain Maddie Batty says, all portals up X up for Merc. You says, X Gorg. Captain Ditko says, who's, we're trying our best. Interloper-carbon-based life forms. Captain Ditko says, Captain Ditko says, Oppo Bond still here. Maddie Batty says, Cowgirl says, hi Ditko. Sai Wumgaprak says, X up. Captain Ditko says, hi Cowgirl. We're trying our best. Recall to in. Would you like to recall to this in? Press circle for no. Press square for yes. Oppo Bond still here. Lunatera Lulu says, not really. Cowgirl says, hi Ditko. Weslow 45 says, X Ford. says, X up. Loop says, ENIAC. Captain Ditko says, hi Cowgirl. Loading. Please wait. Recall to in. Weslow 45 says, Gorg. Press circle for no. Lunatera Lulu says, Arboreal Replica Orichilcum Brutish Void Gauntlet, WTSDM offers. Weslow 45 says, Maddie Batty says, X up for Merc 2-20. Zenon says, X Gorg heal / evade DPS. Weslow 45 says, Gorg. Press circle for no. Lunatera Lulu says, Arboreal Replica Orichilcum Brutish Void Gauntlet, WTSDM offers. Weslow 45 says, Maddie Batty says, Ruby V says, X Gorg evade. Zenon says, X Gorg heal / evade DPS. Weslow 45 says, Gorg. Press circle for no. Lunatera Lulu says, Arboreal Replica Orichilcum Brutish Void Gauntlet, WTSDM offers. Captain Ditko says, good to see you're still playing. You need anything? Sai Wumgaprak says, X Glob. Firebolt says, Jewelry Matrix, WTS 10X. Captain Ditko says, good to see you're still playing. You need anything? Sai Wumgaprak says, X Glob. R.co.g says, LFM May 10th Gorg Fresh Run / Tank DPS, Rend, Avad, Bleed. Matrix, WTS 10X. Maddie Batty says, X Gorg. Captain Ditko says, good to see you're still playing. You need anything? Sai Wumgaprak says, X Gorg. R.co.g says, LFM May 10th Gorg Fresh Run / you says, WTS Weapon Matrix X10. WTS 10X. Sai Wumgaprak says, X Glob. says, X Gorg. Captain Ditko says, good to see you're still playing. Centauri says, Graveyard Shift is the best for ambient. Matrix X10. Catch Dab 00 Tai says, Stank for Gorg with a DPS evade. S3L says, X Glob. Chloe Bonbon says, Evanora Eniali says, X Gorg. Centauri says, Graveyard Shift is the best for ambient. Firebolt says, WTS 10X, Jewelry Matrix. S3L says, X Glob. Chloe Bonbon says, Evanora Eniali says, X Gorg. Centauri says, Graveyard Shift is the best. S3L says, X Glob. Firebolt says, WTS 10X, Jewelry Matrix. Kega So Cool says, okay seriously. Josie Z says, Nanana. Vokerbull says, X Merc. Kega So Cool says, okay seriously. S3L says, Kega So Cool says, Mode Mechanon. WTS 10X, Jewelry Matrix. Kega So Cool says, okay seriously. R.co.g says, LFM August 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend, Bleed. Kega So Cool says, okay seriously. Kaga so cool, says. Captain Ditko says, are the mounts really worth it much on TP? Kaga so cool, says, okay seriously. R.CORG says, LFM August 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend, Bleed. Sham Zero says, Gorg DPS Evade. Captain Ditko says, are the mounts really worth it? Sham Zero says, Gorg DPS Evade. Sham Zero says, Gorg DPS Evade. Sham Zero says, Gorg DPS Evade. Thiago Schmaltz says, Algum BRA. Sham Zero says, Gorg DPS Evade. Centauri says, X supersede - carbon based life forms. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Centauri says, X supersede - carbon based life forms. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Poker Smile says, X Gorg. Centauri says, X supersede - carbon based life forms. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Poker Smile says, X Gorg. Poker Smile says, X Gorg. God Angst says, thanks for the globs. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. God Angst says, thanks for the globs. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Bjorwin says, X Gorg. God Angst says, thanks for the Bjorwin says, whatever is needed. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS. Father Will says, K random mutts for funds. Bjorwin says, X Gorg. God Angst says, thanks for the Bjorwin says, whatever Alumi Zaldik says, X Glob. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Will says, K random mutts for funds. Bjorwin says, X Gorg. Bjorwin says, whatever Alumi Zaldik says, X Glob. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Will says, K random mutts for funds. Little Lion says, X Glob. Boker Bull says, X Merc. Alumi Zaldik says, X Glob. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Little Lion says, X Glob. Bokerbull says, X-Merc. Little Lion says, X-Glob. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Little Lion says, X-Glob. Bokerbull says, X-Merc. Little Lion says, X-Glob. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Little Lion says, X-Glob. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Suing says, X-Glob. Bjorwin says, our corgi what you need brother. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. S.O. Cuddy says, LFM Amreen, lobby up. Bjorwin says, our corgi what you need brother. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. S.O. Cuddy says, LFM Amreen, lobby up. Bjorwin says, our corgi what you need brother. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. S.O. Cuddy says, R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend Spear or Hammer. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, Rend Spear or Hammer. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, High DMG. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS, High DMG. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run / DPS. R.co.g says, LFM September 10th Joe CZE says, sup. High DMG. Joe CZE says, sup. Joe CZE says, sup. Marita Baptist says, Ex-Gorg. Marita Baptist says, Ex-Gorg. Father Will says, KLF healer DPS for Mutz. Father Will says, KLF healer DPS for Mutz. Aseng BJ says, exemplary ring, WTS. Father Will says, KLF healer DPS for Mutz. Hawkeye 7 says, X-Glove. Aseng BJ says, exemplary ring, WTS. Hawkeye 7 says, X-Glove. Ascend DJ says, exemplary ring, WTS. Hawkeye 7 says, X-Glove. Loop says, Q3V3S. Arfrower says, X-Cata6. Smelter says, anyone having connection problems? Sooth says, why? I keep IT on ME says, the person I'm dueling just crashed. Arfrower says, X-Cata6. Smelter says, anyone having connection problems? Sooth says, why? I keep IT on ME says, the person I'm dueling just crashed. Arfrower says, X-Cata6. Dunzo says, stop using daggers then. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run /DPS, hi DMG. I keep IT on ME says, no. Centauri says, Ex-Caledonia-Celtic Woman Soft. Dunzo says, stop using daggers then. R.CORG says, LFM September 10th Gorg Fresh Run /DPS, Hi DMG. I keep IT on me says, no. Centauri says, ex Caledonia Celtic woman soft. Dunzo says, stop using daggers then. Loop says, Q3V3S. LFM September 10th board fresh run / DPS. Hi DMG. Recall to in. Would you like to recall to this in? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Smelter says, daggers don't usual cause me problems but I have seen 3 people running into walls. Says, Q3V3S. Loading. Please wait. Recall to in. Would you like to recall to this in? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Smelter says, daggers I keep IT on me says, thief never caused me problems either but it does do stuff to some PPL. Loading. Skyveins Z says, X Gorn DPS. Recall to in. Would you like to recall to this in? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Smelter says, daggers I keep IT on me says, fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. X Gorn DPS. Loading. Please wait. Allo Aracii says, if you hit comma you can bring up gear sets. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Arvrower says, X Cata 6. For no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Allo Aracii says, if you hit comma you can bring up gear sets. Arvrower says, X Cata 6. Pascal Boss says, X Glob.
Well then, another fox finds the care to bolster that reputation of you some more. I also have equipment available, should you find the need.
Pascal Boss says, X Glob. I keep IT on me says, he just crashed again and am not using daggers so.
Well then, another fox finds
Enchantress 3 says, fresh Gorg LF wool rolls hyphen promise it's a Gorg.
should you find the need.
Pascal Boss says, X Glob. I keep IT on me says, he just crashed again and am not using daggers so.
Well then, another fox
Enchantress 3 says, fresh Gorg LF wool rolls hyphen promise it's a Gorg. Loop says, Q3V3S. Zenon says, X Gorg evade / healer. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Zbula says, it's the server. Zenon says, X Gorg evade / healer. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Pascal Boss says, X Glob, it's the server. Penna Sprinkle says, happening to me too, been bad the past couple days. Variant Z says, X Gorg evade. Enchantress 3 says, fresh Gorg April 10th hyphen LFM. Penny Sprinkle says, happening to me too, been bad the past couple days. Variant Z says, X Gorg evade. Enchantress 3 says, Fresh Door Never Adept says, QCTF July 10th. Kibby I says, X-Gorb. Never Adept says, QCTF July 10th. KVI says, X4. Never Again says, QCTF July 10th. Bebby Azel says, XX. KVI says, X4. Bebby Azel says, XX. Bebby Azel says, XX. Lucky Lion says, XX. Sticky Boy says, X-Wall. Lucky Lion says, XX. Sticky Boy says, NVM. Lunatera Lulu says, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet. Centauri says, X Never-Ending Road hyphen Loriena McKennet Soft. Lunatera Lulu says, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet. Centauri says, X Never-Ending Road hyphen Loriena McKennet Soft. Lunatera Lulu says, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Ring, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet, Exemplary Amulet. Centauri says, X Never-Ending Road hyphen Loriena McKennet Soft. Enchantress 3 says, Fresh Gorg LFM-May 10.
Well then, another care to bolster the reputation of you some more. I also have equipment available. should you
Enchantress
find-
3 says, Fresh Gorg LFM-May 10. Fast travel. Would you like to
Well then,
fast
another
travel to this
care to bolster the
location?
reputation of you
Press
some more.
circle for no,
I
press
also have
square for
equipment
yes.
available, should you
Enchantress 3
find-
says, Fresh Gorg LFM
Loading.
May 10. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Josie ZA says, FF. Josie ZA says, FF. Josie ZA says, FF.
Your arrogance will be your end. You will join us or be drained of life. Your resistance is amusing. You cannot defeat your souls. You will join us or be drained of life. Your resistance is amusing. You cannot defeat your souls. You will join us or be drained.
Fortunate One says, X-Gorg. Fortunate One says, X-Gorg. Healange U says, correct and in drinking. Fortunate One says, X-Gorg. Healange U says, correct and in drinking. Smelter says, wow, our healer has been busy. Healange U says, correct and in drinking. Vocabule says, X-Gorg. Smelter says, Centauri says, X Sacred Spirit hyphen Yehanoha, wishes of happiness. Kambam says, X-Gorg. Smelter says, Ruruking Bis Healer. Vocabule says, X-Gorg. Centauri says, X Sacred Spirit hyphen Yehanoha, wishes of happiness. Would you like to fast travel to this location? X-Gorg. Press circle for no, press square for yes. Smelter says, stuck in score screen. Ruruking Bis Healer. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast
Luz
travel
Theron
to this
says,
location?
X-Gorg.
Press circle for no, press square for yes. Smelter says, stuck in score screen. Loading. Please wait.
Well then, another fox finds. Care to bolster the reputation of you some more? I also have equipment available, should you find the need.
Luz Theron says, X-Gorg. Press circle for no, press square for yes.
Well then, another fox. Care to bolster the
Boo says, X.
I also have equipment available, should you find the need. Well then, another fox finds. Care to bolster the reputation of you some more? I also have equipment available.
Asta 23 says, X-Glob. Luz Theron says, X-Gorg.
Well then, another fox. Care to bolster the
Boo says, X.
I also have equipment available, should you find the need. Well then, another fox finds. Care to bolster the reputation of you some more? I also have equipment available.
Asta 23 says, X-Glob.
Well then, another fox. Care to bolster the
Boo says, X.
I also have equipment available, should you find the need. Well then, another fox. Care to bolster the reputation of you some more?
Asta 23 says, X-Glob. Kibi says, Enchantress group is full tie. Oracle NG says, tie guys. X7 fold X says, NEWT. Tahi says, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, empowered replica orichalcum brutish fire staff, WTS. Oracle NG says, tie guys. X7 fold X says, NEWT. Tahi says, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, empowered replica orichalcum brutish fire staff, WTS. Oracle NG says, tie guys. X7 fold X says, NEWT. Tahi says, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, empowered replica orichalcum brutish fire staff, WTS. Luz Theron says, kick red and bring me lol. X Universe 8 says, Luz Theron says, kick red and bring me lol. X Universe 8 says, Trixie says, Manium bot. Lose Thorn says, Universe 8 says, Trixie says, Manium bot. Trixie says, Manium bot. Trixie says, tie. Trixie says, tie. Trixie says, tie. Centauri says, X return to innocence hyphen enigma. Centauri says, X return to innocence hyphen enigma. Dominizilla says, we got 6 homies queued up for CTF. Centauri says, X return to innocence hyphen enigma. Dominizilla says, we got 6 homies queued up for CTF. We got 6 homies queued up for CTF. Zazatera says, X Glob. Zazatera says, X Glob. Centauri says, making new glob raid with promotions. Zazatera says, Centauri says, X glob. Centauri says, making new glob raid with promotions. Centauri says, X glob. Centauri says, making new glob raid with promotions. Centauri says, X glob. Zazatera says, X glob. Jack Daniel says, 1. Mr. Rieger says, X Scorp. Zazatera says, X glob. Jack Daniel says, X glob. Jack Daniel says, 1. Mr. Rieger says, X Scorp. Zazatera says, Jack Daniel says, X glob. Centauri says, glob March 10th. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-March 10th. Luz Theron says, X Gorg. Haskell Nebos says, X glob. Boker Bull says, Scrop Brim. Centauri says, glob March 10th. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-March 10th. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-April 10th. Haskell Nebos says, X glob. Centauri says, glob May 10th. Centauri says, glob March 10th. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-March 10th. Gina Noisewater says, X Gorg. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-April 10th. Ukilier says, Gorg. Gina Noisewater says, we got 3 in party. Says, glob May 10th. Gina Noisewater says, X Gorg. Universe 8 says, Gorg-April 10th. Ukilier says, Gorg. Gina Noisewater says, we got 3 in party. Says, glob May 10th. Ukilier says, G. Sai Wumgaprak says, X Gorg. Smelter says, OPR. Ukilier says, G. Boker Bull says, Scrop Brim. Dominizilla says, we got 6 homies queued up for CTF. X-Glorg. Psywumgaprak says, X-Glob. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-April 10. Smelter says, OPR. Okerhole says, Scrop Grin. Gina Noisewater says, X-Glorg. Queued up for CTF. Psywumgaprak says, X-Glorg. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-April 10. Smelter says, OPR. Okerhole says, Scrap Grin. Gina Noisewater says, X-Glorg. Centauri says, okay, at least 3 promotes in new Glob FFS. X-Universe 8 says, Centauri says, okay, at least 3 promotes in new Glob FFS. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-May 10. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-May 10. Centauri says, Glob September 20th. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-May 10. Mr. Yeager says, scored March 20th. September 20th. Mr. Yeager says, scored March 20th. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-May 10th bleep this guy I know. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-May 10th bleep this guy I know. Loop says, Q3v3s. Loop says, unless you're scared. Ukilier says, Gorgonin. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-May 10th bleep this guy, I get it. Recall to in says, would you like to recall to this in? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-May 10th bleep this guy, I get it. Recall to in says, would you like to recall to this in? Press circle for no, press square for yes. You says, foul. Loading. Please wait. X-Universe 8 says, Gorg-May 10th bleep this guy, I get it. Recall to inn says, would you like to recall to this inn? Press circle for no. Press square for yes. You says, foul. Loading. Please wait. X Universe 8 says, I usually have a better chance at find Bigfoot than getting Gorg going when I start one FFS. Har's Ego says, X Uni. X Universe 8 says, I usually have a better chance at find Bigfoot than getting Gorg going when I start one FFS. Har's Ego says, X Uni. Smelter says, OPR score. X Universe 8 says, I usually have a better chance at find Bigfoot than getting Gorg going when I start one FFS. Luz Theron says, X Gorg. Says, OPR score. X Universe 8 says, Gorg July 10th bleep this guy, I get it. T0I says, X Gorg. Luz Theron says, X Gorg. Says, OPR score. X Universe 8 says, Gorg July 10th bleep this guy, I get it. T0I says, X Gorg. Luz Theron says, X Gorg. OPR score. Healange U says, Uni second best healer. Bleep this guy, I get it. T0I says, X Gorg. Luz Theron says, X Gorg. Healange U says, Uni second best healer. Bleep this guy, I get it. X Universe 8 says, I'm not even second best. X Universe 8 says, I'm trash lol. Healange U says, Uni second best healer. Centauri says, X time and stones silence in storms. X Universe 8 says, I'm not even second best. X Universe 8 says, Gorg August 10th bleep this guy, I get it. Centauri says, X time and stones silence in storms. Smelter says, lol. Ukilie says, Ingardia rain for Gorg. Gorg August 10th bleep this guy, I get it. Healange U says, VG bow FTW uni. Smelter says, lol. Ukilie says, Ingardia rain for Gorg. August 10th bleep this guy, I get it. Ukilie says, Hermie and Gina a trio. X Universe 8 says, at this point it take it. Smelter says, lol. Ukilie says, Ingardia rain for Gorg. Ukilie says, Hermie and Gina a trio. X Universe 8 says, at this point it take it. Ardia Rain says, X Gorg. Says, Hermie and Gina a trio. X Universe 8 says, at this fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. X Universe 8 says, at this rate I might as well go get some Diddy lube and go bleep myself I guess. Says, X Gorg. Loading. Please wait. Healange you says, fast travel. Would you like to fast Little travel Ian says, X Glob. Press circle for no. Centauri says, yes. Lol. X Universe 8 says, Gorg hyphen August 10th hyphen bleep this guy, I get it. Loading. Healange you says, it bleep ya. Zero Old Ray says, X Glob. Little Ian says, X Glob. Press circle for no. Centauri says, lol. X Universe 8 says, Gorg hyphen August 10th hyphen bleep this guy, I get it. Healange you says, it bleep ya. X Universe 8 says, oh don't worry, it bleep me too. Little Ian says, X log. Centauri says, lol. X Universe 8 says, Gorg hyphen August 10th bleep this guy, I get it. It bleep me. X Universe 8 says, oh don't worry, it bleep me too. X Universe 8 says, Gorg hyphen August 10th hyphen bleep this guy, I get it. X Universe 8 says, Gorg hyphen August 10th hyphen bleep this guy, I get it. Asmodean Troy says, X Gorg. X Universe 8 says, bleep it at this point someone with a heartbeat join. X Universe 8 says, Gorg hyphen September 10th hyphen bleep this guy, I get it. Someone with a heartbeat join. Ghost Leader says, knowing. X Universe 8 says, Gorg hyphen September 10th hyphen bleep this guy, I get it. Someone with a heartbeat join. Ghost Leader says, knowing. Centauri says, food hygiene preferred, not required. X Universe 8 says, Gorg hyphen September 10th hyphen bleep this guy, I get it. Centauri says, food hygiene Kibbi says, we don't even need a heartbeat, just a somewhat decent connection to the game so that you don't DC September 10th. X X Universe 8 says, Loop says, Q3V3S. Bleep this guy. Loop says, unless you're scared. Kibbi says, Healanju says, Kibbi, just a somewhat decent connection to the game so that you don't DC September 10. Saradnax says, no one is scared of you bro. Loop says, Q3V3S. Loop says, Q3V3S. X Universe 8 says, you might as well not have a connect if you don't have a har beat you down a person regardless. Saradnax says, Loop says, unless you're scared. Q3V3S. X Universe 8 says, you might as well not have a connect if you don't have a har beat you down a person regardless. Luke says, unless you're scared. Ardia Rain says, X. Luke says, Q3V3S. Aseng BJ says, exemplary ring, WTS. Ardia Rain says, X Universe 8 says, Gore-September 10 says, Q3V3S. Aseng BJ says, exemplary ring, WTS. Loop says, Q3V3S. X Universe 8 says, September 10. Ardia Rain says, X Gorg. Gina Noisewater says, Universe. Loop says, Q3. Gina Noisewater says, Invardia Rain. Ardia Rain says, X Gorg. Gina Noisewater says, Universe. Gina Noisewater says, Kibbi says, it's for the feng shui and the aesthetics of it all. Kibbi says, it's for the feng shui and the aesthetics of it all. Loop says Q3V3S. Loop says, unless you're scared. Loop says Q3V3S. Loop says, unless you're scared. Loop says Q3V3S. Loop says, unless you're scared. Loop says Q3V3S. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no. Press square for yes. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-September 10. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to Scurry 30 says, X Gorg. Press circle for no. Press square for yes. Scurry 30 says, DPS. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-September 10. Almighty 24 says, X Gorg DPS. Scurry 30 says, X Gorg. Scurry 30 says, DPS. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-September 10. Almighty 24 says, X Gorg DPS. Almighty 24 says, X Gorg DPS. Centauri says, X waiting hyphen dash Berlin feed Emma Hewitt. Centauri says, X waiting hyphen dash Berlin feed Emma Hewitt. Healing Yu says, crazy. Healing Shu says, crazy. Lube says, Q3V3S. Busset says, X up CK. Luke says, Q3 Healing Shu says, Enchantress and Kibby I kill me in PvP yes I'm scared. Luke says, Q3 Healing Shu says, Enchantress and Kibby I kill me in PvP yes I'm scared. Redemption says, any idiot, Gorgon. Lube says, Q3V3S. Redemption says, any idiot, Gorgon. Lube says, Q3V3S. Redemption says, idiot found. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-September 10. No Pooks To Give says, X Gorg. Redemption says, idiot found. X Universe 8 says, Gorg-September 10. Band Lover 123 says, Spectral Mount Box, WTS. Redemption says, idiot found. Band Lover 123 says, Spectral Mount Box, WTS. Tommy says, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, empowered replica Orichalcum brutish fire staff, WTS. Tommy says, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, exemplary amulet, empowered replica Orichalcum brutish fire staff, WTS. Tommy says, exemplary amulet, empowered replica Orichalcum Shin 24 says, X-Glog. Shin 24 says, SX Glog. Shin 24 says, X Glog. Shin 24 says, SX Glog. Shin Shin 24 says, X-Glob. Shin 24 says, X-Glob. Shin 24 says, X-Glob. Centauri says, X Waka Waka hyphen Shakira. Centauri says, X Waka Waka hyphen Shakira. Lucky Lion says, Lucky Lion says, Lucky Lion says, Lucky Lion says, X. Shin 24 says, XX Glob. Loading. Please wait. Smelter says,
Lucky Lion
OPR
says,
score.
X.
Running Gunner says, X Glob. Shin 24 says, XX Glob. Loading. Please wait. Smelter says, OPR score. Running Gunner says, X Glob. Shin 24 says, XX Glob. Loop says Q3V3S. Loop says, unless you're scared. Loop says Q3V3S. Loop says, unless you're scared. Loop says, unless you're scared. Loop says Q3V3S. Loop says Q3V3S. Loop says Q3V3S. Centauri says, X try everything hyphen Shakira Zootopia. Centauri says, X try everything hyphen Shakira Zootopia. Lady Louvre says, X merc. C408 says, X-Gorg. C408 says, X-Gorg. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Press answer yes. Loading. Kingswood. McNulty says, "What's up world chat?" Centauri says, "X space shanty hyphen left field dubstep." McNulty says, "What's up world chat?" Centauri says, "X space shanty hyphen left field dubstep." X Universe 8 says, "Gork hyphen August 10th hyphen move DPS." X Universe 8 says, "Gork hyphen August 10th hyphen move DPS." X Universe 8 says, "Gork hyphen September 10th hyphen me." Healan Shu says, "Heartbeat." Gork hyphen September 10th hyphen me. Through says, XDPS. Athlete says, XDPS. Haskell knee boss says, X glob August 20th. Haskell knee boss says, X glob August 20th. Centauri says, Centauri says, Weslow 45 says, X uni. Weslow 45 says, X uni. Trixie says, unusual. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Busset says, X up Helio. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Centauri says, X swords hyphen left field. Loading. Please wait. Loading. Please wait. Skyveins C says, X-Merc. Skyveins C says, X-Merc. Angelifat says, X-Merc. Centauri says, XMA 6581 carbon-based life forms. Angelifax says, Xmer. Centauri says, XMA 6581 carbon-based life forms. Angelifax says, Xmer. Centauri says, XMA 6581 carbon-based life forms. Sticky Boy says, X-Wall. Sticky Boy says, X-Merc. Little Bear says, X-Wall. Sticky Boy says, X-Wall. Sticky Boy says, X-Wall. Sticky Boy says, X-Merc. Little Bear says, X-Wall. Sticky Boy says, X-Wall. Sticky Boy says, Wall February 20th. Sticky Boy says, X-Merc. Skyveins C says, X-Up Merc. Little Bear says, X-Wall. Recall to in. Would you like to recall to this in? Boy says, press circle for no, press square for yes. Angelifat says, X-Merc. Loading. Skyveins please wait. X-Up Merc. Sticky Boy says, X-Wall. Sticky Boy says, then Merc. Recall to in. Would you like to recall to this in? Boy says, press circle for no, press square for yes. Boker Bull says, X-Merc. says, X-Merc. Loading. Skyveins please wait. X-Up Merc. Sticky Boy says, X-Wall. Sticky Boy says, then Merc. Recall to in. Would you like to recall to this in? Boy says, press circle for no, press square for yes. Boker Bull says, Kenny 4 says, X-Merc. Loading. Sticky Boy says, Wall go. Sticky Boy says, Smelter says, OPR score. Sticky Boy says, then Merc. Sticky Boy says, if you bored of Merc. Would you like to recall to this circle for no? Press square for yes. Boker Bull says, Kenny 4 says, X Merc. That says, X Merc. Wall go. Smelter says, OPR score. Suing says, X Merc. Sticky Boy says, if you bored of Merc. Kenny 4 says, X Merc. That says, X Merc. Wall go. Smelter says, OPR score. Suing says, X Merc. Sticky Boy says, if you bored of Merc. Skyveins Z says, X up Merc June 20th. That says, X Merc. Kenny 4 says, Merc June 20th. Smelter says, OPR score. Suing says, X Merc. Skyveins Z says, X up Merc June 20th. Kenny 4 says, Merc June 20th. Lord Sameed says, X Merc. Skyveins Z says, X up Merc June 20th. Kenny 4 says, Merc June 20th. Lord Loading says, X please wait. Select character screen. Press square to continue.